And at some point, when this shit happens, when the best examples you could give is, no, trust us, these government institutions aren't corrupt, they're just massively incompetent. What are we as the American people, or in fact the global people, supposed to think? Like, we're told about the Secret Service. Well, one of the first things they said, why didn't you have someone on that roof? They're like, because it was sloped. What? And then you see the pictures of the roof they're on, and it's more sloped. And you're like, are you shitting me? You're telling me that the most highly trained security force in the world was beaten by a fucking 30-degree pitched roof? That's what you're saying? God forbid, instead of some random high schooler, or college student, or whatever Thomas Crooks was, God forbid it's like a KGB agent or a fucking Chinese special forces agent. Because if a kid could do this, my God, think what a trained military could do. Or with Russiagate. Well, it wasn't that the FBI was being corrupt. They just didn't know that you weren't supposed to change evidence to the opposite of the truth to get warrants to spy in a presidential campaign. What the fuck are you talking? They didn't know that? They didn't know they weren't supposed to do that? Like, get the fuck out of here. At some point, you have to be like, this shit's so obvious. At what point do you say, they didn't know? The smartest virologist that we had in the government didn't know that putting COVID patients in nursing homes would be a fucking disaster? They just didn't know. I knew it. You knew that. Everyone in my chat knew it. None of us are virologists. Yet somehow the smartest people, they just didn't know. We didn't know. The smartest economists in the country, they didn't know what a disaster it would be to massively lock down the world economy. They just didn't know. The average person knew. You talk to the average person, you're like, hey, what would happen if the world economy just completely stopped for 30 days? They'd be like, holy shit. Things would be so fucked, man. I work in the lumber business. Let me tell you how that would fuck us over for years to come. Yet somehow the world's greatest economists just didn't weigh in. They didn't know. They didn't know that massively printing money would cause inflation. They just didn't know. Didn't know. Like, at some point you have to be like, wow, it's almost like it's bullshit. It's almost like these people. But what my battle, when I talk about the corruption of these institutions, constantly the pushback I get is just denying reality or just being like, well, it was just incompetence.